Last season, Lamar Jackson became a two-time MVP in this league. But who is the man that will dethrone him for the award this year? I just built a list with 5 tiers ranking the most likely NFL players to dethrone Lamar Jackson as the most valuable player this year. All the way from players who have next to 0% chance, but a little tiny chance, to the guy that has the best opportunity to be the MVP this year, or at least dethrone Lamar Jackson for the award. We're gonna go over each tier one by one, starting with the players, like I said, who have next to 0 chance at winning MVP. Then we'll move on to players who it's unlikely that they'll win MVP, but if everything goes perfect, they're in a position to win it. The next tier are players that I view with a real opportunity to win the award next year. And we'll get to the most likely frontrunners for the award, and the guy that the NFL is counting on to dethrone Lamar Jackson. Starting at the top, the players who have next to 0 chance to dethrone Lamar Jackson, but have a 0.000001% chance to do it, so I have to give them a shout out. These are the guys with a Hail Mary chance to be MVP next year. Guys like Brock Purdy. Now, I know what you're saying. He was an MVP candidate last year. How can I say that he has almost no chance to win it this year? Because Brock Purdy's path to the MVP award is through other more valuable players on his offense carrying his stat line. I'm sorry, when you're in an offense with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, if you don't go for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, you're probably not going to win MVP. I will argue for Christian McCaffrey to win MVP out of that offense with you all day, all night long. It's no shot at Brock Purdy. He has been put into this very rare position, very rare opportunity, being Mr. Irrelevant and getting to start for the San Francisco 49ers so early in his career, in a situation where they drafted a quarterback in the top 5 of the very same draft and had a veteran on the roster. He still found his way in there, and then when he did, took him all the way to the Super Bowl. I'm not taking away from what Brock Purdy did. Truly feel that Brock Purdy is just your average franchise quarterback in this league. We're talking your Kirk Cousins level player, who's probably going to be a solid starter in the league for years to come, but Kirk Cousins has never been in consideration for no MVP awards. And Justin Jefferson could definitely put up wide receiver MVP numbers, but the reason he has 0.001% chance to win the awards is because what are wide receiver MVP numbers? We've seen wide receivers go for 2,000 yards. We've seen wide receivers go for 20 touchdowns. It doesn't fucking matter. A wide receiver has never won the award. And I don't think a wide receiver will ever win the award. Justin Jefferson needs to have 2,200 yards receiving. He needs to shatter the record by 300 yards. He needs to score 25 touchdowns. He needs to score 2 touchdowns a game to be in consideration to win this award just because of his position. Justin Jefferson is the most valuable player on the Vikings by far. He's getting paid the most. He's going to produce the most. He's going to sell the most jerseys. He should be eligible for MVP just like a quarterback is. That's just not the way the award goes. The most valuable player usually is the most valuable quarterback in the league. That is the most important position on the field, and that's why Justin Jefferson, no matter what he does, probably cannot win this award. But there's the off chance that all of the mainstream quarterbacks have a hard year. There's a small chance that no one rises up and becomes the star that the league needs them to be to elect him as the MVP. And Justin Jefferson is just sitting there and has a historic moment because he's going to put up numbers no matter who's at quarterback. Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy. I'll go out there and throw it up to Justin Jefferson and he'll have a $150. A lot like Justin Jefferson coming in on this list because his position. TJ Watt comes in this part of the list as well. It's again a position where you're saying breaking or tying the sack record isn't even going to get you into consideration. You won't even get a candidacy if you have 20 sacks in this season. So what TJ Watt needs to do to become an MVP candidate is have 25 sacks. But the craziest shit is that both me and you know that in his career, TJ Watt might get 25 sacks one year, and it might be this year. I think the way the Steelers have set up their offense, they're really going to be relying on this defense. And they're going to be putting this defense in good field position where they're going to get to go and attack NFL offenses all year long, giving TJ Watt a lot of sack opportunities this year. When you're a run to play action type of team, you got to establish the run. And if that's not working, the way it hasn't worked in the Pittsburgh offense over the last couple of years, that defense is going right out onto the field early and often. And then the final player in this category, do not unsubscribe, do not dislike the video, is Josh Allen. I'm sorry. I'm not a Josh Allen hater. I think he's a phenomenal talent in the league. I think his play style is truly one of a kind. We've only seen a few players with this kind of guy's size and athleticism at quarterback. Josh Allen's been an MVP candidate over the last couple years. Someone who a lot of people probably put money on at the beginning of each year. But this year, the Bills really have to balance this offense out a lot more. I think that James Cook is going to be a sneaky fantasy pickup because they're going to run the ball a lot more. And I don't think it's going to necessarily be through Josh Allen's legs. The team has kind of let him loose like a wild horse in the past. And we've noticed that they're better when they're a more efficient, well-run offense. And then let Josh Allen have his superstar moments. Let Josh Allen on 3rd and 5 make that crazy play along the sideline. Let Josh Allen go ahead and try and make a bunch of guys miss or try and run over some defensive back late in the game when you need to play the most. But we don't need him doing, 360s and spinning out of tackles and just throwing the ball up for interceptions like he was in his younger years. And we saw that at the tail end of last year. He really reeled it in, especially with Stephon Diggs struggling, getting really frustrated. You could tell that halfway through the year, Josh Allen was already like, fine, man, I got to figure out how to make it work with some of these other guys because the whole Diggs thing is just not working out. So I expect Buffalo to have a more balanced offense, and with less weapons in this offense, less big plays for sure. Josh Allen has a lot less likely chances of winning the MVP this year compared to other previous seasons. I also think that Buffalo may be falling behind the curve a little bit in the AFC. We'll see if some of these young guys can step up and grow into their own. They're going to need someone to step up at wide receiver, or as a receiving option, I should say. Dalton Kincaid could very well be the number 1 receiver for this team like Kelsey is for the Chiefs. This O-line has to be a lot better, especially in run blocking. And James Cook has to take that step that we saw his brother take a few years into his career. All right, enough talking about the Bills. I could talk about them all day. Let's go on to the next tier of potential MVPs that are unlikely to win the award. But if everything goes absolutely perfect, they have a chance. Starting with Lions quarterback Jared Goff. You're probably thinking, Jared Goff, that's the MVP of the NFL. Are you fucking kidding me, Mike? He shouldn't even be on the list. But think about it. If Jared Goff puts up similar numbers to last year, maybe a little bit better, if the Lions win 13 or 14 games, they're the number 1 seed in the NFC with home playoff advantage. What's the argument against Jared Goff being the MVP of the league? The reason that this is extremely unlikely still, well, it's Jared Goff. I know he was very consistent last year and even the year before, you could say. But his whole issue with the Rams was the inconsistent play. He would play like an all-star, superstar quarterback one game and the next game get fucked up. So I'm hoping that Jared Goff doesn't fall off that cliff again and teams start to figure him out. And he keeps going down the path that he's been going, which is towards the MVP award if you think about it. And if you think about it, of that team, to bring that team out of the ashes, to replace Matthew Stafford and bring them to where they are in this pedestal that the Lions are today, who deserves the MVP award more? Another guy that I think it's very unlikely to win the award, but if everything goes perfect, could, is Packers quarterback Jordan Love, who's in the division with Goff. I see what everyone saw in those moments, in Jordan Love's best moments last season. You can see why the Packers went out on a limb and drafted him in the first round all those years ago. I still don't know if I completely agree with sitting the guy for 3 years to get here, but it worked out, so who am I to judge? Now, they haven't gotten J. Love his new contract yet, so there's still some unanswered questions there. I think Jordan Love has to prove he's going to be consistently dominant in this league. He hasn't really been dominant for more than a few games in a row, but if he can, like we've seen Justin Herbert do over the last couple years, if he can the way we've seen Joe Burrow do over the last couple of years, if he can even play at the level that we've seen Tua play over the last couple of years, this 2020 QB draft class is going to be one of the best ever. And we may see multiple MVPs out of there. I do think a big key for Jordan Love being an MVP candidate, he's going to have to beat out the Lions for the division, which is going to be very hard. Next, quarterback with an unlikely chance to be the MVP, but it seems like there's always a chance every year he's in the convo, is Dak Prescott. And I'm thinking the same thing that you're thinking. Dak Prescott, what? He's one of the most hated quarterbacks in the league, I know. But this man puts up numbers in this offense every single year. You could say he's one of the best system quarterbacks maybe you've ever seen. He's also the star of the Dallas Cowboys, so of course they're going to prop him up a little bit because of that. But there are some serious issues with picking Dak to be your MVP at least. For one, he still has no contract. If I'm Dak Prescott and I get a bump here, a bruise there, I'm sitting down. I'm not risking it after breaking my leg on a contract year a few years ago. The Cowboys still paid him, but man, that could have been terrible for Dak Prescott. Not to mention his star wide receiver that gives him any chance at being an MVP is also in a contract dispute. And the Cowboys star defensive player Micah Parsons is also in a contract dispute. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And when you screw on your wheels with loose lug nuts, they tend to fall off halfway through your drive. That's what I'm worried about the Cowboys this year, that this thing falls apart and falls apart quickly. And the final quarterback in this tier for unlikely quarterbacks who have some chance if things go perfect, you guys are gonna hate me for this, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't care about all the hate that's out there on the internet. This man has still won 2 of the past 4 MVPs. We act like that was a decade ago that he won the MVP. Yes, he won the MVP a decade ago and then won it again 2 times a decade later. We're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL who suffered serious injuries in his life before. People are watching him like a hawk. He misses 1 practice, they lose their mind. He gets a blister on his foot, they lose their mind. What you're going to get out of Aaron Rodgers is an efficient offense. He's going to have a low turnover total, high touchdown total. The team's going to gain a lot of yards, score a lot of points, and give up the ball a lot less. And now you throw on top of it, the Jets defense is one of the best in the league. I don't know how people aren't looking at this Jets team as Super Bowl contenders because of Aaron Rodgers. That's always the argument, like, but is the quarterback going to be good and healthy? It's like, I mean, I understand the concerns with him being hurt. He's been an injury-prone player in his career. But what is the concerns of him being good? This is so much like when Brady left the Patriots. Everyone was saying, oh, Brady's lost it. Brady doesn't have it. He's not going to succeed anywhere else. And he walked out the door to the best possible free agent landing spot, won a Super Bowl immediately. Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great on the level of Tom Brady's. He can win MVP. He could win the Super Bowl with this roster for sure if things go right. Sorry for my Jets rant. I'm going to do this multiple times this offseason. We're going to move on to the next category, but first, one quick reminder to like the video. If you tuned in this far, it's the free way that you could support the content and send this video out to more NFL fans like you and me in the algorithm. And then make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications on. If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm NFLMike. Nice to meet you. I am an NFL content creator that makes NFL content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and twice on Sundays. If you're an NFL fan, I know you'll love the channel. Just give me a chance and subscribe with notifications on for completely free. All right, let's talk about some players who have a real opportunity to be the MVP next year. Like my boy of the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. Everyone's saying, oh, but he lost his top 2 wide receivers. You're just bashing on Josh Allen for losing his top 2 wide receivers. I understand what you're saying, but hear me out. Justin Herbert has proven that he can perform at an MVP level with this kind of offense in the past. See, back when the Chargers had offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi, he came out of the Saints offense. Nothing like the Harbaugh offense. They do a lot of rushing the football through the pass. What I mean by that is like screens, out routes, bubbles, bananas, all the short yardage stuff. They immediately catch and throw for Herbert. But in that offense, with no rushing attack, the worst rushing attack in the league over the past 3 years. In 2021, go and look at Justin Herbert's numbers. I don't even have to look. I remember them. 40 plus total touchdowns. 5,000 passing yards, one of like 8 quarterbacks to do that in NFL history. If the Chargers are a 12-13 win team that year, Justin Herbert's an MVP candidate in year 2. It's his style of play and it fits so well in the Harbaugh offense. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns through the air, and I believe his big plays are going to go back up to the numbers that we saw in 2021 and 2020. And no, he didn't have his top 2 wide receivers that season. They were injured for most of the year. I'm very excited about Justin Herbert. I put him here on this list. He's my pick to win MVP this year. Unbiased pick, of course. I just think that this man has needed an offense with the rushing attack. And once he gets that, once he just gets an average rushing attack, it's going to be to the moon. Another guy who has a real opportunity to be the MVP this year, and this guy is going to be the last non-quarterback on the list, is Christian McCaffrey. Like I was saying earlier in the episode, I think the NFL is ready for a non-quarterback to win MVP. It's been so long since we've seen one. What? Since Adrian Peterson? Christian McCaffrey is the running back that has put up the numbers even close to being an MVP. And the 49ers are such a good team that players from their offense is always going to be in consideration for this award. Now, in order for this to happen, he may have to rush for a touchdown, throw for a touchdown, and receive a touchdown. But he's done it before. Why can't he do it again? It also just depends on health. Can Christian McCaffrey be out there for 17 games? He's been generally healthy with the 49ers so far. So, knock on wood. Let's hope it happens. I want to see Christian McCaffrey be an MVP candidate again. And the last player in this category is Jalen Hurts. Yes, they lost Jason Kelce, but you replace him with a very good center. And a lot of people are worried that tush push is going out of fashion. I never saw the tush push start to fail. They ain't going to go away with it until it stopped. I think they're going to run the tush push from the 1 yard line every time next season again. And if the Eagles secondary can get fixed, if Jalen Hurts and this offense can figure out what some of the woes were in the passing game and even put up more numbers there and be a 13-win team again. Remember, they picked up Saquon Barkley to add to this offense just casually, no big deal. Jalen Hurts can definitely find himself in the MVP conversation, have a real opportunity to win it. Which brings me to the two most likely front runners to win the MVP award. My second to last tier in the video, we're almost there. Of course, you have to give it to Patrick Mahomes. He's already an MVP in this league. You got to respect what he has done as much as I hate the fucking guy. I hate him because I ain't him type of situation. He's torturing me and my Chargers. Patrick Mahomes goes into every single season as an MVP frontrunner, I think as the favorite to win the award. But this year, especially over all others, he now all of a sudden has gone from a lack of weapons to just being loaded with weapons. And Travis Kelce's still going to be out there obviously doing his thing. But they picked up Hollywood Brown, and that might have been the most catastrophic signing of the entire offseason for the entire NFL. Because if Hollywood Brown stays healthy, you just gave Patrick Mahomes another guy on the level of Tyreek Hill when it comes to the speed department. And Hollywood Brown can run routes with the best of them in the league and create separation with the best of them in the league. You put that with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, they're going to go absolutely off. And also, Rashee Rice didn't have the greatest offseason, was in trouble left and right. But it's looking like, due to the lengthy court systems in the United States of America, he's probably going to be in an Alvin Kamara situation. What I mean by that is he's probably not going to get suspended till next season. So fucking great. He's going to play this year. They still have Sky Moore. They still could bring back MVS. There's a lot of free agents out there they can add for very cheap. I hate Patrick Mahomes. I hate the Chiefs, but I have to admit, front runner to win the MVP this year. Right next to his fellow AFC quarterback, CJ Stroud. And I think these two are going to be going at it all year. Just think about CJ Stroud getting better as time goes on, and this offense getting better and better as time goes on, and you install Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. CJ Stroud is going to have unbelievable numbers next year. Just going to come down to, can the Texans take that leap into a 12 or 13 win team? If they do, then CJ Stroud's going to be an MVP candidate for sure. And then the player that the entire league is counting on to dethrone Lamar Jackson for MVP is Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. I want to be very clear. The reason I think Joe Burrow is the guy that the league is counting on to dethrone Lamar is because they signed T. Higgins to a 1-year deal. It feels like they're all in. This is the last year with T. Let's go nuts. Jamar Chase is healthy. They lost Joe Mixon from this rushing attack. I think they're going to be a very pass-heavy team, but still a very good team. A team that could win the AFC North. And that's what it brings me to. Joe Burrow is one of the only quarterbacks in the league that has the chance to literally dethrone the Ravens. Take them down from division champs and take them down from being the best team in the AFC in the regular season at least. I think Joe Burrow can beat Lamar Jackson twice head-to-head in the regular season and literally take the MVP away from Lamar if everything goes right. And he stays healthy. He puts up the numbers he's put up when he's been healthy over the last couple of years. I think Joe Burrow is as hungry as any quarterback in the league right now with the injuries he's dealt with early in his career as well. Did the Bengals improve the O-line enough to keep him upright? If they did, and he stays upright, and he has a clean pocket, this man is slinging for 4,500 yards with his eyes closed next year. Like I said, with his closeness and direct competition with Lamar Jackson on the field, he is the guy the NFL needs to dethrone Lamar. Although, me personally, I would like to see Lamar win a third. Fuck it. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. Like I was saying earlier, my pick to win MVP, non-biased, I got Justin Herbert. Completely unbiased pick. But I want to know who you guys have winning the MVP award. Hop down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about my tiers in this list here. If any players should be moved around, added, or subtracted.
Bill Flames, I went Mike on the mic. With something brand new, one time for your mind. He gave you fair warning. Now it's time to smack him in the mouth with that raw sports talk from the town. Sweet chin music to your favorite sportscaster.